so here we are. The Boeing 737. Been a while since I've done this, and not just on stream, but at all. And let me get rid of that. There we go. So I've created a little island hopping. And I thought we should take a little look so we can see just exactly what's to be expected. And we'll be in the complete cold and dark startup in this. I have created a little flight plan on here which looks something like this. We'll be taking a little look closer, but basically it's Bradshaw International to Princess Julia or Princess Juliana International. That's that one where when the planes come into land, they come right over the beach, I'm sure. You'll have seen a picture from that. As you can see, it's not a very long flight. We're talking 85 nautical miles from airport to airport there. Air distance of 84. That's probably because we've got a 5-knot wind helping us along. Let's have a little look. Where are we? Let me just have a little look on the map, see if it will load. Okay, so it's loading every. Okay, here we go. That'll do. So, wow, is that slow? Okay, so we're on one of these little islands. Here's North America, South America. We're basically just hopping from one island to the next. It belongs to the Netherlands. Wonder why that map there isn't working so well, but never mind. We shan't be referring to it. And so with that out of the way, that's a little brief introduction. Let's see if we can make things happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is put power into the plane. And if we come a look onto the top, we need ground power in. So just trying to think, how do we get ground power in? I think ground power... in fact, wait a minute. No, we don't. No, we don't. We come down here. It's been a while. We're just asking the ground crew to plug in the ground power unit, which kind of what you do for some of the planes in DCS as well. And with that done, we now get the blue light on here. So let's get the battery on. Accept the power. Emergency lights on. Get the logo, position lights, wheel lights on. And we'll get the no smoking signs on while we refuel the aircraft. And then the next thing I want to do, coming right to the top here, is get the navigation systems aligned to the INS systems. Very much like DCS, some of this stuff, some of it not, but, you know, it's flying, right? How much different can it be? And ground power unit, there we go. Alright, so let's clear out some of these cautions and we'll get the lighting. You know, I like always the panel lighting, whether it's DCS or whether it's any aircraft. I don't like the floodlights, I like the panel lighting like this. Same with down here and up top too, which is going to be this one. There we go. So first thing is got real world weather, whatever that is for the specific places and whatnot. So let's open the doors. And where are we? Forward cargo, aft cargo, and we've got some air stairs in this 7.3. For those that don't know what air stairs are, the 727 used to have them. It used to have a little door in the back, and the stairs were part of the plane itself. In other words, you don't need the airport itself to bring the stairs out. Let's just turn that down a little bit. These stairs actually fold out of the plane itself. Kind of unusual in this day and age, but that's what they are. Here we got the APU plugged in. That's giving us power. Okay. So setting up with... So we're here, every airport in the world has this 4-letter code. In this case, Bradshaw International is TKPK, Tango Kilo Papa Kilo. And so we'll put that in here. Get rid of Manchester. TKPK, search for that. And there we go, Bradshaw International. If we click this here, The 10.9, here we get a little layout of said airport. We can see there how long the runway is. Got a little overlay there of our aircraft in red. Importantly, we've got tower frequency, although we won't be using that. If we did have a weather, the so-called ATIS, which we don't have. So I'm going to go off this here. We've got the airport elevation 168 feet. So I'm just going to make sure that matches with this. Because it doesn't match, that's because the pressure is, well, it's whatever the weather is. So I'm just going to make that more or less match to 168. That'll do nicely. So we've got a pressure there of 3007. Nav date are out of date. Okay, so I forgot to update that. These things are updated. Is it every month or every 28 days? Once or the other. You can see I haven't updated it since it expired on March the 23rd. Yeah, it was valid February the 24th to the March the 23rd. So there was an update a couple of days ago, but it isn't going to affect us for this flight. So initial position is going to be Tango Kilo Papa Kilo. This is so the INS system knows where it is. You don't usually have to bother with this unless I think the Mirage you do. What I can do just is grab the GPS coordinates, plug that in there, and I don't have to type it all in. And with that, over to the route page, Tango Kilo Papa Kilo 2. If we come over here, back to charts to TNCM. That's where we're going, TNCM. Destination flight. I'm just going to fly as British Airways BAW and 4452. Why not? Estimated runway that we're going to be departing on as per the flight plan here is going to be runway 25. We'll confirm that with the weather in a minute, but for now, runway 25, and the route is going to take us via the Du Sul. Is that Lima 1 departure. In any case, the first waypoint is this one here, Z Pata. So ZPATA. We'll refer to the departures in a minute because I'm going to try and do it somewhat properly. And then that's straight in. So we've only got one waypoint there. This is the departure. This is the arrival. And then we're straight into runway 10 at Princess Julia. So with that single waypoint in, we'll activate that flight. Okay, come over to the departure arrival page. Here we've got the departure, and here we see these the SIDs here. And we're expected to go off the Du Sul 1. So let's pop that in there. It's already selected runway 25. Here we've got a bunch of transitions. Well, Z Pata is where the only place that we're going. So pop that into the transition. If we come over here to the plan page, you can see what all this is doing is starting to build up this plan. So we're here where this little airport symbol is. In fact, the looks like we've just finished alignment there. And here is the route all the way to Z Pata. And then if we come back over to the departure arrival page, because that's the only waypoint, right? It's a short flight. We zoom out a little bit and pop in the arrival here for Princess Julia. TNCM arrivals page. You can see there's only one star here, the Ulba 1, which is what we've got here. Ulba 1, and then we're coming in onto runway 10. We've got, again, all these transitions, so I might as well go via Z Pata. Ulba 1, and I'm just going to go for... It doesn't have any ILS, I don't think, at Princess Julia, so we'll go for the RNAV 10. And via, this is the transition here, where we're coming in through Z Pata. Okay. What a mess I've made of that. So let's come over now to the legs page. Step through. So there's the departure, Z Pata. Then we're going to go here, here, here. Some of these are in twice. Okay, and that's if it's missed. Okay, that's fine. So if we mess up, we actually come back to Z Pata if we got to go round. But one of these waypoints was in twice, this Ulba 1. I think I'm just going to up-select that to get rid of that. There we go, that's fine. So that's all the legs sorted out. Back to the init page. Let's deal with some of the weights here. And in fact, you know what? We got to start start loading up the aircraft. And if we come over to the weights page, because very important. Here's the fuel. So the amount of fuel that we're going to load up with, the so-called block fuel, is 11,101 pounds. Very precise. So I'll probably round that up to 11.2. And if we take a look here, we're only expected to use 2.4 for the actual trip, and all the rest is basically contingency. We've got the 15 minutes at max power contingency there. We've got the final reserve, which is usually half an hour at cruise. You see there the time difference. And then as well the fuel for the alternate airport. So all of that goes in, and that gives us the minimum takeoff fuel. The discrepancy here between this and that is because we're allowing ourselves, in this case, 12 minutes for taxi. That's the £300 there. So 11.2, let's go with that. And how are we doing passengers wise? Let me just write that down because I'm going to forget. 11.2 for fuel, and passengers wise, if we come over to page 3, we've got 181. I'm not entirely sure my config can quite carry 181, but you know what, we'll give it a go. 181 packs with 0 on the cargo, so that gives us a payload total of 35.3. Again, all of these figures are in pounds, so 35,300 pounds fuel and everything as well. So let's come over to the load page, see if we can actually give ourselves that. Payload total was 181. If not, 181 passengers. Error. Yeah, I didn't think I could carry quite that much. So you know what? I'm just going to go with a payload, which was 35,300. And that's going to give us a distribution of passengers and cargo to still give us the same weight. So I'm going to go ahead with that. Coming back to the first page here, the fuel. We had a minimum takeoff of 11.2, we said. There we go.
Ground flight deck hose is connected and starting refueling.
Insta refuel, that's what we like to see. There we've got the fuel totals down here. Left wing, right wing, and centre tank. Won't be requiring the centre tank today because we don't need that much fuel. And once that is done, we come back up top. You can see here that the systems are both aligned left and right.
Ground flight deck fuel is all loaded up and you are good to go.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, land altitude, so important for the pressurization here of the cabin. That needs to be equal to what we had, so 150 feet. How high are we going to be flying for our journey? If we come back here to page 1, that's this number here, /120. So that's a flight level number, so 12,000 feet. So we'll punch that in up top. 12,000, there we go. And I think we're about ready now, so let's finish programming up this computer. So we've got a gross weight here. I'm just going to cheat and press to auto fill it like that. If we come back over to the fuel page, we can get an idea. So again, trip's going to be, in terms of fuel, is 2.4. So we're planning for 2.4 there. We've got the reserves down here, which I like to add the final reserve plus the alternate is going to be 6.9 if I round that off. So if we get a low fuel warning, we've got to pay attention to that there. We've got a cost index. That's how much power are we giving versus flying economically. You know, so the higher the cost index, the faster the flight. So it's given us a real low number today of 8. I suspect that's because we've got a reasonable tailwind, and you want to fly more efficiently when you've got a tailwind, and when you're a headwind you want to give it more power because of course you don't want to be up there all day in a headwind. And cruise, we said 12,000 feet, so quite low. So 120 to put the flight level in, that's there. Now let's put some of this info in. So the average wind is 125 at 5 knots. 125 at 5. The ISA deviation, so the difference from normal is going to be plus 12. That's because we're in a hot part of the world. I think 12C, there we go. And the transition here, it's given us 5,000 feet. That's when we go from altitudes into flight level. And that comes on the airport page for the departures. Let's have a little look here. Was it the Dusel one? Good job that there's a second one over here, right? Yeah, it's the Dusel 1 departure, so this is going to give us, and there we see it, trans 5,000, so that's all good. I'll just put the progress page on there for now. Okay, insufficient fuel. Yeah, ignore that, we know it's okay. So we've got all of that in, yes. N1 limit, how much power we're going to give on takeoff. You know what? Full power, why not? I don't have any maintenance or cost issues to worry about. So full power, flaps 5, CG, so center of gravity, gives us a trim for takeoff of 4.25. And we've got V1 speed of 129, rotating on 31 and single engine safe climb out of 143, which goes into the box up here, so 143. So if we lose an engine on takeoff, any slower than that, we risk losing control of the aircraft. Of course, if everything's fine, we just ignore that speed and accelerate straight through it. Let's have a look here on the departure for the initial. Do we have a top climb? Some of these, how do we say it? Less busy airports, let's say it like that. The charts aren't always as detailed as you'd find in somewhere like London or New York. Yeah, so here we are. Initial climb. Climb onto the assigned flight. Okay. So in other words, ATC is going to give us it. And because we've got not flying with ATC, I'm just going to bang 6,000 in. That's probably a typical climb out. Having a look on runway headings. So going to be taken off on runway 25, which is this one here. So if we take a look there at the heading, it is 251. So I'll put that in on the course. 251. Could have really gone round the other way, but never mind. 251. Same with the heading there. 251. And your side, you'll be my first officer for today. There we go. 251. 251. So all of that looks good. That stays on there. So we've got the init page, my side, legs on your side. 12,000 is in. Let's get the signs on. And we're almost ready to go. So we'll get the fuel pump on start the APU. Hold it into the start position for a couple of seconds. Let go. And we should see that starting to wind up on here. Any second now. There she goes. If we take a listen at back. Those that don't know, that's the little engine back here inside the tail. Looks like an exhaust pipe, and it is really an exhaust pipe, right? But kind of looks like some dirt as well. All right, so let's get closed up outside and ready for push. And we've got all of this in, this in. Let's put this over to the map page. We'll zoom in a bit. TCAS remains off. Any frequencies, because of course if something goes wrong, we might need to return. So if we come to the approach page, it's an RNAV, so again, no ILS or anything like that. We do have a solitary NDB here that we can make use of. 325 Bradshaw, so we might as well tune that in as a backup here. So we'll pop 325 in. I'll make it active my side and your side, seeing as there is nothing else. So 325, 325. No ATIS information, so the only way that we can grab really ATIS is using the data link on this system here. So data link airlines requests weather, and it was, what are we talking with here? Where are we again? I really should. TKPK, so TKPK, pop that in and send that request off. That only takes usually 3 or 4 seconds to come through, so we'll refer to that in a minute. And let's welcome everyone on board.
Good morning,
want to folks from the flight deck get your captain for the ride. It looks like it should be pretty good. So we're planning on a smooth ride. Get you there as soon as we can and as safe as we can. We'll talk to you once we get airborne. Welcome over.
Yeah, quick voice change there. These things happen. Okay, so we've got that on. Let's check the APU. APU is now on. We can see these figures there. And with that, let's put the APU on the bus. 1, 2, so APU is providing power now. And we can ask ground crew to disconnect the external APU. Ground services, get rid of the stairs. Shut the doors. And if we come up here, we can see these lights should be turning out now as the doors close. There we go. And I think we're ready for push and start. Let's get the APU bleed on. Turn the packs onto auto. It's the air conditioning, right? You can hear it now. Here we see the temperature inside the cabin. Quite warm. That's, you know, to be expected where we are this part of the world. Get the window heat on now. Probes can wait until we've got engine start. We'll get the trim air on. And yaw damper on as well. And get the hydro pumps on as we are ready for push. So let's just top-down view. Where are we going to go for pushback? Let's push ourselves here. And then we can drive on whichever way.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
We're ready.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Thank you. Okay, so let's have a look on the airport plan here. So first off, TKPK. Let's quickly discuss this. So we're going to get pushback taxi over to runway 25 via taxiway Charlie here. Then we're going to come out of 25, which is this one here. So we'll be flying over the Bradshaw NDB here on a heading of 251 for 7.3 miles until we reach this waypoint here. This is Dussel. And that'll be... here we have the weather here. So this was the... So on the 20th, so basically on the 28th of March, this was generated at 1400 hours TKPK, and that's the code there. Winds 110 at 12 knots, so got to make aware of that. 110 at 12 knots. Bit of a crosswind, really, if we're coming out at 25. Slight even tailwind, but we'll not worry about that. Visibility is clear. That's this one here, 9,900 or better. Few clouds at 2,100. Temperatures 27. Dew point 21. QNH 1018. So we'll pop over to the QNH 1018. That's what we've got set based on what we guesstimated earlier. So all of that is good. So Guy is here now, ready for pushing us back. I know I say this every single time I do this. I say this, but
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
I never knew these guys picked up the nose wheel. I know they only just pick it up, but I never knew that they did. And of course, you'd think, well, they must be really strong. Well, not really. You know, the center of gravity is only just forward of these wheels, so it does make kind of sense. But I never knew that they did that. So anyway, he's ready for pushback, just waiting for us to release the chocks there. So I'm going to put the transponder out off. I do just got the flight number in on there, 4452. And with that, let's release the brakes.
Starting pushback. And
Come over here. Anti-collision lights are on. Should have really done that the other way around, but never mind. And we're ready for engine start. So because it's the Boeings, we got to let go of the packs first. I know Airbus does this for you. So the packs are off. And we are ready for engine start. Starting engine number 2. Hold it into the ground position. You can see N2 is rising. Take a passenger view. There's engine 2. Back to the cockpit. All right, so it's above 25. Because it's been a little while since I've started them up, Boeing says, or whoever makes the engine says, let it hold there for 2 or 3 seconds and then put the fuel in. So I've done that now. So there's the fuel going in, engine number 2. And we have ignition there, fuel flow going in. EGT is rising. So we got... So far, so good. Back to the legs page on your side, please. Thank you. Okay, successful start on 2. Starting engine number 1. Starting the left-hand side now. There is a rhyme or reason behind starting the right, at least in the airlines. Does actually make a difference. Okay, so there we are. Just give it a couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1, bang. Fuel going in. Let's set parking brakes. Push down on both pedals, and there we go.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Okay, so he's saying goodbye. We've got successful start on 1 and 2, so let's get the engines supplying power now, and we'll open up the packs again. APU bleed can go off isolation valve onto auto. With that said, APU can now come off entirely. Get the engine start switches onto continuous. We'll get the wing lights on, get the probe heats on, and with that, all is good. Just waiting for this guy to disappear. Well, I should hope the cabin's secure. I mean, we've been pushed back for 2 minutes, love. Honestly. They're slacking. There he goes. He's popped us down. Should really let the engines run and start a timer if it's the first start of the day. Make sure they've both been on for 5 minutes, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, so we'll be taking off, turning right, and then here's this Z pattern.
Has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye. Okay, so we'll be taking off, turning right, and then to this Amono, and then right again. So ignore all these others there for different departures. We'll be flying on to Z Pata here. Should something go wrong, aka big time, we will continue the departure as prescribed and we'll hold at Z Pata, ensuring that we're clear of all terrain, which if we look here, the MSA for the area is 4,800. So that means as long as we're 4,800 or above, within 25 miles of, in this case, the airport, we're not going to hit anything. And so that's how that's going to roll. So with engines started and all that, let's get the altitude reporting on. We'll come over to the systems control. The guy has disconnected his little tug, so let's do a flight controls check. So forward, back, left, right, left on the rudder and right. And you may say, what's the point in doing this check? You know it's a sim, it's always going to work. And the answer is, that is true, but you don't always know that you've plugged your joystick in right. So it's well worth doing this check. We'll do a quick takeoff check. So we hear that alarm there, so that's working good. So let's flaps down to 5 for takeoff. Push down on the parking brake, on the pedals, both of them. Disconnects the parking brake. And there we go, we're on the way. So auto brake RTO, that's rejected takeoff. So Summit, all that we have to do on takeoff now, if we pull the power back, if it senses that we pull back the power, it's automatically going to dump the spoilers and put max wheel brakes on for us. There's nothing else we need to do. Of course, we might want to then ourselves add engine reverse, but none of that factors into the calculation. And so in theory, at any point up to V1 speed, which is 129 knots, if we pull back on the throttles, that's the only thing we need to do to stop the plane. So it's all these calculations that go into all of this stuff. You got to think it's quite something. They've learnt from many well, it's going to be a few thousand died over the years. But really, how many major airline incidents have there been? If you think how many, what, billions of people have been carried now? So get the flight directors on my side first, then your side, because I'm flying 6,000. And we'll get the auto throttles on as well. And that's now in green. And we'll wait until we line up onto the runway itself. So with that done, let's get the engines onto here. We'll clear out that page because that's where any error messages are going to start displaying. Should have really put the turn lights and taxi lights on, so I've done that now. And coming up over here, let's get rid of the wheel well at this point. We'll make a stop here. In fact, just going to assume that ATC says Boeing 747. Hang on, I need to make some effect here. There we go.
Boeing 747, you is clear to take off.
There we go. Got to put something in, right?
25.
Approaching 25. I don't like this thing here. What have I done wrong here? XRAS. Get rid of the overlay. Save. Thanks. Okay, so one thing.
25.
I should have put strobes on. Let's get an external. Let's leave camera here. Controls are so different to the DCS cameras. It's a bit hard to remember after all this time, but we've got the strobes on. And flaps are set. Let's get a passenger view. This game's looking real dated now. Apparently, Xplane 12, there's a lot of stuff on it, a lot of screenshots, a lot of videos, so it can't be out long now. And just like Microsoft Flight Sim and DCS, one of the big things is, of course, the clouds now looking really good. I mean, a lot of other stuff as well. I mean, all of these games have come on, but it really needed Flight Sim to give everybody else a kick up the behind. But that said, Flight Sim really sucks realism-wise. That's why I'm still flying Xplane. Because the realism on Flight Sim just ain't there. And I'd be opening a can of worms if I was to compare this with DCS, because... yeah, we'll leave that one there. Okay, so landing lights on. Let's give a ding-dong. Just to let everybody know that we is ready for departure. We've done all of these check. Oh yeah, the TARA, good point. So transponder on, TARA, so that's the traffic avoidance radar, although we ain't expecting anybody here today. So we've got the clocks on. Let's put the weather on, and that you do see. The weather radar does work, assuming there is any weather worth putting onto the radar, right? Obviously, on a clear day like this, probably not going to see anything. So let's come to a full stop here. Let's start the clock there. Let's start winding up the engines. Heading select LNAV, VNAV, so just to give us some guidance once we take off. And engines are stable, releasing the parking brake and toga. So we got the annunciators on down here. Slight forward pressure. Got a little bit of that crosswind coming in that I told you about. I'm having to put in right rudder, a little bit of left roll to compensate for that.
80 knots.
Check.
V1, rotate.
Rotate. Up we go, come on, positive rate gearing. Keep climbing, come on, 15.
400.
Check. Okay, so there's takeoff, all so far so good.
1,000.
Okay, so 1,000 feet, rad out here. We can start lowering the nose and accelerating. Engines go back to from takeoff to climb. And it's just a case of following the pink bars, right? Of course, there's no free will for the airline pilot. They've got to do everything is exactly as prescribed. They've got, like, the only time they've got any decision over anything is when the shit hits the fan, let's be honest, right? That's the time that they get to fly. I mean, some of them, if you look at some of them, right, the procedure is autopilot on before you're even at 1,000 foot after takeoff. And then you disconnect 30 seconds before landing at the other end. I mean, what sort of... That, to me, is not flying. So I'm still flying it for a bit for now. So we've got the flap 1 retraction speed here. So I'm going to go from 5 to 1, of course. You don't really use flap 2 unless you're using it for sort of trying to slow down a little bit. That's the main reason it's used for. And there we've got the flap up, so we'll go to flaps up. And I'm going to put the autopilot on right about now. There we go. Okay, so with flaps all the way in, we can start turning the gear lever from up to off. The RTO can come off, come up top. We can relieve cabin crew, which of course is smoking sign these days. Engine start switches can come off. Runway turn-offs, taxi light off, and the retractable landing lights can come in. The, of course, other ones need to stay on. Logo light can come off, wing lights can come off, and everything else is now set for cruise. Engines winding back a bit, so there's the 6,000 feet. That was already very quick, so let's just assume that we've been cleared to climb up to, what was it, 12, wasn't it? 12. And pop that in, and you know, vertical speed. Why not? Something that we don't see in DCS very much. Although, kind of, again in the Mirage, it's, I think, the only one really where you've got, you pre-select the altitude, and although you don't have control of the vertical speed like this, once you've got the autopilot in, you're using the trim switch to control the autopilot, which is actually a really good idea. I wish more modules did that. I guess they just don't in real life. So after takeoff, so the pressure, if we take a look here, so cabin is pressurizing. We see here this outer dial, that's the difference between inside and out. So yes, engine start switches are off, and landing gears up and off, auto brake off, flaps in and off, altimeters set for cruise, yeah, because we're through transition, so there we go, standard. And that's it until descent. And because this is a real short flight, in fact, if we zoom out over there, in fact, a little bit more. There we go. There's the end destination, ED. And TD here, that's top of descent. So very close. TC, that's top of climb. Just come over to the legs page, because just checking here. I'm just going to put this one, I'm going to change this one here to a fix, not 3,000 or above, but I want to be at 3,000 at that point. There we go. Just plan this, because this is coming in through so fast. So step, step, and then we're on final. And then the rest is for missed approach. Well, we ain't going round like that. So I think what I'm going to do is take this Zapata and up select it here, and that's just as quick as that. So we're already ready for descent, so this is going to go real quick now. So let's clear this out. So TNCM, that's Princess Julia. Let's come over to the arrivals page. It's probably not going to be much in here because we're going to be straight, oh no, there we are. So here we are, here's Zapata. We're going to be left turning and tracking down through here. These are the minimums. Got an MSA of 4,100 feet. Centered on, is that the airport?
1,000 to go.
It's centered on the VOR, which is 13.0. So let's tune that in as backup. 13.0. my side, 13 your side. Click, click. And if we come back over onto the map page there, we see that tuned in. PJM, 38 nautical miles away, so very close. Take a look out. In fact, here we've already got the notification we need to begin descending. Told you it were going to be quick, didn't I? So we'll descend down. We've got the stop there for 3,000, so let's tune that in. 3,000. And let's just get a level change. That's going to descend as quick as we can on idle thrust with a speed of 250 knots. So if I increase that speed like this, 270, the way it goes faster is not by adding power, but look, we go down steeper, which is a real cool way of descending, right? Let's be honest. Level change. I mean, you can climb with it as well. You just have power on and it does the opposite. Be a cool feature actually in I would say DCS, yeah, where you can forget about your power, just full power or mil power, whatever it is. You tune the speed that you want and it's going to climb or descend per, right? But through 10,000 feet we should really be 250 or less, so let's just pop 250 in. Here we have Princess Juliet there, all of that rubbish over there that we can see. The approach gonna be, let's come over to the arrival page, sorry, the approach page, and I had RNAV set in for runway 10. So RNAV, area navigation, this is not really using a beacon, this is sort of using a plane knowing where it is, GPS and other ways that a plane knows where it is. And a plane, it doesn't just know where it is, it's got a confidence of how accurately it knows where it is. And in order to do these approach procedures, they say there's a minimum accuracy. In this case, let's have a look here. It says somewhere on here how... I'm trying to find it now. And of course, now I've said it, I can't find it. I'm sure there's somebody screaming at the thing saying, "You idiot, it's right in front of you." And I can't see it. But basically, if you look down here, we've got this required navigation performance, RNP, and we see it's 0.3. And here we've got the actual navigation performance. So in other words, the aircraft within 0.03 nautical miles knows where it is, and it knows that that is how accurate it is. Might be more accurate, but it knows worst case scenario, that's how accurate it is. And the required navigational performance for our part of the flight, we need to know where we are within 0.3. So it's, you could say it's 10 times as accurate as it needs to be. Everything looking good so far, but I think I'm going to go onto the vertical navigation because actually a little bit lower than what could be ideal. So I'm going to let the autopilot figure that out. We're just going to focus on the approach now. So we're coming in from this direction, Z Pata, and we're going to swing around here and then here. We could have a hold over here, but we're not going to bother with the hold. I mean, we know it's not going to. Here's some restrictions. So max 230 knots with a minimum of 2,600, max 10,000. Enter hold only when instructed by ATC. Okay, so we're not going to be instructed. See, they're 4 mile legs. We're just going to continue straight on through. So our coming through this Avaki here onto less, and then we've got the FAF here, map on, the final approach fix. We can see the approach there. It's probably going to be something like 096. Here we see map on. In fact, you could say that lesser. I don't know. Either way, so Avaki, we're at 2,600. This is our vertical profile. Then we're down to 1,700 feet by lesser. And then map on, this is going to be, so here's the FAF. This is the missed approach. So if things look shaky by map on, we've got to be going round, all right? And then here we see the touchdown standard there, 50 feet above. So following this approach is going to bring us over the piano keys at 50 feet, which is the threshold standard thing. And of course, if things go wrong, this is it. So it's a right-hand turn, climb up to 4,000, direct to this waypoint here, known as on bed. Here we've got the minimums. In this case, going to be 686 on the radalt, so I'll program that in. $500. 686. There we go. We need the pressure for this place. Do we got weather here? 80s we do. 127.65. Let's tune that in and have a listen. 127.65.
Princess Juliana INTL information echo. 1500
Echo.
Zulu weather. Wind 140 at 9. Visibility more than 10. Rain. Sky conditions
Rain.
1,800 few. 3,800 scattered. Temperature 27. Dew point 21.
Warm.
Altimeter 3009.
That's the number I need.
Arriving runway 28.
3009.
Advise on initial contact.
And we've got
Cuba
rain.
Echo.
So let's pop the wipers on. I don't like it when they go together. Why? I don't know. I like them a bit different.
Princess Juliana INTL
Okay, so we got
echo.
rain, but it's warm, so icing is no
1500
factor,
Zulu
so I'm not going to worry
Wind
about
140
that.
at 9. Visibility more than 10.
Let's shut that radio off. We no longer need zooming in. We've got weather on scope anyway, so we know there's nothing strong. If it was heavier rain or it was cold, I'd put the anti. But you know what? We need engines continuous anyway because we are coming into land. Let's put... we're not cleared yet for landing. We'll put the turn off lights on though. Logo light on.
1,000 to go.
Tell cabin crew, do you know what? Let's tell them it's time. If we come over here, so anything else? Nah, just 2,600. We've got to be 3,000 or above by this point here, Yamaka, and then we can descend down to 2.6. Because we are in vertical navigation autopilot, it would meet those requirements anyway. So approach again, very quick. We've got to choose flaps 15, 30 or 40, and of course you can see, depending on which one we choose, that has some impact on the speed. Now it is a short runway, so I'm going to be coming in. It's not that short, I mean 7,500 feet, but even so, it's really a choice between 30 and 40. The difference being about 7 knots. Going flaps 40 though, because it's more flat, more drag. You do actually end up using more fuel. Can't remember what the difference was, but it was enough that planes doing it all day long, going 30 or 40, you were talking hundreds of tons by the end of a day if you add in all the planes doing it. So it did make a difference to go flaps 30 if possible. Oh well, let's just go flap 40. There we go. So it gets us an approach speed of 139. Put in the 5 knot wind correction because there were winds. We're through that point now, so we can descend down to 2.6. So let's just pop the level change in. I'm going to go flaps 1 and reduce speed down to 200 knots. Auto brake. Let's go auto brake 2. Show what, auto brake 3. There we go. So we're turning in onto final now. I could 09, basically 09596. Let's just turn it on my side. .095. Oh no, it's 96. I'm just looking for the end one there. So that's this green line. And then the other one, I think we can turn it off to avoid distraction. There's the runway up 12. Looks like we've come through the rain for now. Let's keep that one on. Turn those off. Let's press the approach button now. Looks like we're actually too high. Did we capture it? Oh, we did capture it. Fantastic. Let's go flaps 2. Slow down. Flaps 5. Slow down 170. Coming in a little hot. We've got the thing there probably complaining about requiring drag. Actually not getting a message, so it's right on the brink of wanting drag. Let's put the flight path vector on and assume we've been cleared to land, so all the forward facing taxi light on as well. Wing light can come on. Let's ding dong the cabin and prepare for seats. Prepare for seats. You know what I meant. Airport. Yes, what was the missed thing here? Because again, I hadn't really had time to set stuff up properly. 4,000, so we'll put that in the window there, ready for mist.
Thousand feet stabilized, Mr. Burchell.
Oh, I'm a bit late here. Gear down, flaps 15. Yeah, I've got you, Betty. I've got you. Flap, putting the ref. I really was coming in hot there. Forgot about it. Init page. Yeah, we're going to be continuing. I don't care. 139. Continue.
10.
Autopilot disconnect. Auto throttle disconnect.
500.
Yeah, we're continuing. God, it was all looking so good, wasn't it? Disconnect that auto throttle. Come on.
400.
Flaps full. Speed brake armed. Gear down and green. Flaps set. Auto brake thing. Landing checklist complete. That's what I'm going with. And there we are with 18 minutes flight time. Little high there. Little slow. It's good. Just continue.
100. 50. 40. 30.
Closing the engines.
10.
Little bit of a left rudder kick. Whoa! I'll take it. I'll take it. We had a crosswind. Short runway. Idle reverse. Check. Let's get the wipers back on. Can't see. Goodness sake. Get rid of the reversers. Manual braking. And let's stop it here. On to the left. Flaps in. Engine start switches can come off. Weather radar off. Get rid of that.
On runway 28.
Okay, backtracking to the gate. 20 minutes, that'll do. Let's stop the clock there. 20 minute from runway to runway. Not too bad considering, what was it? About 80 some miles, I think. Something like that. Let's get the landing lights off. Signs remain on. Coming up top here, we've got the windows and probes to come off. APU can start up. Come on, APU. Start up. There we go. APU bleed is off. If we come over here to TNCM airport page onto the 10.9, that's what we're looking like. So we'll vacate on Echo, which is this one here. And there we see the sign, so always good when the airport matches with the map. Doesn't always happen. At least not in the online one, considering they've got every airport in the world in and had so 5-6 years ago, and all that was stored on your hard drive. I mean, quite something, right? And I mean, look at the detail. It's not nothing, is it? It's not nothing. certainly not DCS level, but I mean, you could argue that the one map on DCS is the size of the entire game on Xplane, so it's swings and roundabouts. I'm sure the new one is going to be much bigger. So here we are. So we got the APU is ready. Let's put that on bus. And we'll shut down engine number 2. Get rid of the Tara. We're in ground. So many things I was forgetting to do in the wrong order. But you know what? We got here in one piece. I'll take it. It's the first time I've done it in ages. Let's cut across here. We're going to go for one of these with the air bridge. We want the air bridge. Sure, we're probably cutting across the wrong way. I'm probably meant to go around that way, but you know what? Nobody saw me do it, so I think I'll get away with it. Let's come in here. Turn off some taxi lights. Come off as we turn into the terminal. Everything else is fine. Strobe light off. Should have turned that off when I vacated the runway, but you know what? I still think pushing in here. Let's get an external view. I'll take that. Push down on both pedals. Pull the parking brake lever. Parking brake lever sticks. Engine 1 can be shut down. Coming up over here, APU bleed can come on. Open the isolation valve. Packs remain on. Hydraulic pumps off. That's already off. Trim air can stay on. Your damper can come off. The IRSs can come off. Fuel pumps can all come off except one that's feeding the APU. All of these lights can now come off in succession, so anti-collision lights can come off, signs can come off. We hear the air bridge siren swinging out there. That is a cool thing. I like how they do that. And we can open this door. What you're waiting for, off you go. Off you go. You know what? There's no animation. It sucks. You just come on to, where are we? Terminate flight leg and... oh, they're gone. Insta deboarding. I bet airlines really wish they had that button. Imagine how much money they could save if passengers go on and off the plane like that. And with that, ground services, let's set the chocks. Let's connect the GPU. We see that now here. Pop that onto the bus. APU can go off. With that, the pump can go off. Wing lights can be turned off. Logo can go off. Did we have the position lights steady to off? There we go. Anything else here that needs doing? Trim air can go off. Packs can go off. They're off anyway because we've turned all the air off. All of that is off. And so with that... oh, hang on. Emergency lights. Got to forget to turn those off. Otherwise, as soon as we cut power, all the emergency lights are going to go on. And that wouldn't be good. I think we're about there. Let's turn off the in-flight entertainment and cabin utilities. And how much... it's all coming through ground power. We're using 13 amps. Is that total? Everything that you turn on and on does factor this. I mean, watch this. If we turn the in-flight on, which one is it? Where are we? Is it that one? I forget now which one it is that lets you see, but all of these, like that one, look, cabin utilities. See, it's 13 amps. You turn it on, it's 44. Oh, you have to turn cabin utility. That does both. Okay, so the in-flight entertainment. Look at that. How many amps it uses there. And it's, I don't know. It's just a cool little thing. They've gone to the effort of doing that. So I imagine the lights down here are the same. If I can move the camera back a bit further. So let's try runway turn off. Maybe not there. Logo. No. Steady. Oh, that one does. Look, 13 to 14. Maybe it's just not very much ampage for these modern LED lights. That's just enough to show up on there. All very good stuff. In any case, that's all, folks. Until next time. Wherever in the world you may be. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.